I am a big fan of having no cash in the expense world. In fact, it's part of the reason why you should buy everything with credit cards. No, of course, not the stuff that should be invoiced, but the stuff that you're tempted to pay cash for. Now, I know a lot of folks agree with me on this, but sometimes for a different reason. They're hoping to build a rebate or a bigger rebate. Recharged Education's Lynn Larson, who is joining me today, is probably cringing as she hears me talking about building a bigger rebate. Given the controversy around rebates, I thought we might hear from someone who knows a lot about cards. So I'm going to throw out some statements to them, and Lynn will tell us whether they're true or false, or we should be doing it or we shouldn't be doing it. Make sure you stick around until the end when Lynn enlightens us on one pcard practice that you might not have considered. Now, Lynn, before we get started, can you maybe give us a definition of rebates?
Absolutely. They're also known as revenue share, and it's a monetary reward that card issuers might offer to their end user clients, the organizations that use the cards. That would be in conjunction with the end users, commercial card, P card, travel card, whatnot, card usage. So it's just one of the many benefits of having a commercial card program.
Okay, Lynn, do or don't number one. When implementing a pcard program, you should expect to earn a rebate.
That would be a don't. And, to clarify, some organizations are not offered any rebate or revenue sharing incentives at all. For example, if the card program is too small based on the issuer's established criteria, even if an organization is offered a rebate incentive, an organization might fail to earn one if they can't meet any minimums that might be set by the card issuer as part of the contract. And these minimums, they typically serve to recover the card issuer's costs associated with providing the customer service aspects, including technology related to a program.
Pcard do or don't number two. Expect each card issuer to base their proposed rebate on the same criteria.
This is a don't. That's because every issuer is different. Every end user organization is different. So if you're an end user and you are doing an RFP, request for proposal, for a card issuer, you're likely to find that each bidding issuer will submit a completely different rebate proposal that might have different elements and different terms, and it might be presented in table form, bullet points, what have you. It's just going to look different. And while rebate terms pretty much always include something tied to the total spend volume put on cards, it could also include speed of pay. That is, how quickly does that organization pay its card issuer? It could have terms in there related to average spend per card, average transaction size. There could even be, separate or different terms as to whether a card transaction qualifies for large ticket interchange, and that's a whole other topic. But you can't expect them all to be easily displayed for a comparison of apples to apples. You really have to look at each individual proposal and go from there.
Pcard do or don't number three. Choose whatever card issuer offers the best rebate terms.
Well, I'm going to say don't, but you can hear other people or maybe listeners saying, yes, you should. I am saying don't. And, personally, I'm saying too often an organization, company, focuses on earning a rebate as the number one thing that, is about cards. But I always say it's kind of like overtime pay. It may or may not happen. It's more like icing on the cake. When selecting a card issuer, certainly, the rebate proposal is one element, but an organization also needs to consider, customer service, the technology, reporting, the different card products, card solutions. There's just more to it than a rebate amount. And it could be that even if the rebate amount or the potential is high, rebate potential is high, an end user organization might not even make it into that high, territory that they're so excited about, because maybe they don't even know how to grow a program. And so if the issuer is lacking in customer service but high in rebate, you may not reach that rebate because you don't have a partner to help you grow your program.
Okay. pcard do or don't number 4. Expect to earn the same percentage on all your card transactions.
Well, this is another don't. If you are
You're no fun.
well, come on, we might be having some fun yet later.
Yeah.
But if you're an end user organization and you're expecting a rebate proposal from a bidding issuer to just say straight across the board, 100 basis points, which basis points would, in this case, 100 equals 1%. But if you're expecting 50 basis, whatever, if you're expecting one straight number for everything, that likely won't happen. Don't expect it. While it certainly could happen, it depends on the issuer and again, your organization as a potential client, but it can vary based on factors like transaction size, the data that might accompany the transaction, and so on. Just a lot of different factors go into it. And, rebate incentives for end user organizations, relate to part of the fees, the interchange fee that suppliers pay when they accept cards for payments. Or for payment. So typically the transactions that would qualify for a lower interchange rate, as defined by the card networks, that might mean that the end user would also earn less or even no rebate on those transactions. So again, it's very, very variable. Talk about redundancy, but looking at just all these different components, you can't just expect that you're going to get a straight across the board, rebate reward, but it's possible.
Okay.
But again, you'll have to, really look at it and see what's involved with that calculation.
Okay. pcard do or don't number 5. If your card program is global, expect the rebate terms to be the same as your U.S. card program.
Well, you can probably
Here
answer
it comes.
You can probably answer this yourself. Don't expect a global program to have the same rebate terms that you're getting perhaps with your U.S. program. And I can say right off the bat that rebate incentives in the United States tend to be the highest. Although everything I'm saying, you can't quote me as set in stone. It, so many variables.
Somebody will find one bank in another country who's
right. They'll say you're wrong.
Yeah.
But rebates are part, or they're they help. They're supported by the fees that a supplier pays for card acceptance, interchange fees. And so in other countries, especially ones that might regulate credit card interchange, when that is lower, then the rebate incentives might be lower, to kind of align with that interchange that is help funding those rebates. So that's why you can't expect every country, if your program is global, to have the same rebate terms associated with it.
pcard do or don't number 6.
Okay.
Move suppliers from ACH to cards in order to increase your rebate.
And do you want to take a guess as to what I'm going to say, Mary?
Well, I can tell you this much, that if you thought this was a good idea, your suppliers would probably be livid with you.
Well, my answer is don't.
Right.
Don't move your ACH suppliers to a card, solution in order to increase your rebate. Now, I could have said do, but let me explain. When I said don't do this, I'm thinking of a couple things. So first, I would focus on moving your suppliers who are getting checks today, move those suppliers to cards or ACH for that matter, because this leads to my second point. It's most important to think about what makes business sense.
Right.
Moving from ACH to card might make sense in some situations when it, for example, improves the overall purchase to pay or P2P process, both for you and your supplier. But don't start moving suppliers away from ACH and over to cards simply because you, the buying or end user organization, wants to increase its rebate. So the message here is you need to look at the big picture, that whole P2P process, consider the supplier and their needs, look at risk and things like that. But do focus on moving suppliers from checks to cards first, but don't automatically say, let's take them away from ACH. And as you noted, some suppliers will not be too happy, but it depends on if you start paying them very quickly, more quickly than ACH, then they might be more willing. But this was a complex question or a statement, Mary. It's like, well, do, don't, but it all has caveats.
Well, I try and tell people, if you're looking to move payments off of paper checks, which I hope everybody is, don't move them to ACH if your ultimate goal is to get them on a card, because it's just going to aggravate the supplier,
Well,
or
right.
most of them anyway, not
Yes.
all of them.
Some
Okay.
organizations make it, an automatic thing. They get a new supplier, they put them on ACH, but you're
Hmm.
right. Exactly what you said. Just don't do that until you think through what will be
Right.
best.
Think through the long term. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
pcard do or don't number 7. Monitor your card's program's rebate progress and status.
Do. So we have a do here. And I say this because many organizations don't pay attention to the rebate terms
Mm,
once they sign a contract with a card issuer. And this is really unfortunate. And I've done little informal polling when I've been presenting
right.
on this topic to different audiences. I'll say, who does this? And a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't pay attention. So I do encourage every organization to understand, what's involved with earning a
Hmm.
rebate and to track the progress, based on that contracted
Hmm.
criteria. And then when you receive a rebate payment, however often that is, whether it's annually, quarterly, whatever it is, you can verify whether it's accurate. Now, I know that's easier said than done because there's a lot of complexities,
Hmm.
but you should be able to estimate it and verify how accurate it is. But you do want to look at those different pieces, the different elements that go into the rebate calculation, and decide what could we be doing differently if we're trying to increase our rebate. Is it adding more spend, which
Hmm.
is always a good way.
Right.
If your terms include the speed of pay, maybe just by speeding up the payments to
Hmm.
the issuer by a few days can help you increase it. But look at those things and make adjustments and track it.
Okay. Key card do or don't number 8. Report rebate metrics to your management.
This is a do.
Okay.
So, remember that rebates are really icing on the cake. If you were to sit down dollar for dollar and compare rebates to, like, say, the process savings that you're achieving, by switching from a traditional procure to pay process that has a check payment and you move it over to a streamlined P card process. Industry studies have shown that the savings per transaction can be anywhere like $60, $70. Again, I've informally asked audiences, and some say, well, ours is only 50, but still. So if you think about it, if you have a $500 P card transaction, and let's just say your rebate is, I don't know, 1%, but yet you're getting a savings of $50 or more, by making that switch from one process to another. This is where when you're reporting metrics to management, while you do want to share rebates, also include the process savings you're
Right.
achieving, or all the other benefits, the invoices that are eliminated from AP, and what has AP, accounts payable, been able to do as a result. There many metrics should be reported to management, so not just rebates, but
Right.
do include rebates.
Okay. Key card do or don't number 9. When a rebate is received, divvy up among the card using departments in your organization. And I'm really curious to see what you have to say about this.
Instead of answering it straight, well, I'll answer it straight out and then I'll explain. I say don't, but
Mm,
you certainly can. So that's where the caveat lies. And some organizations do this in order to continuously keep their internal business departments,
mm,
excited and willing to use P cards,
right.
because they'll get something back. But to me, this is a tedious exercise. Most organizations will book the rebate at a high level for the
Hmm.
benefit of the overall organization, or maybe they will allocate it to the department that manages the card program. So
Hmm.
it really depends on an organization's accounting rules and their preferences. So again, I'm just offering things to consider. I mean, ultimately each organization can do what it wants, but think about really where is it ultimately benefiting the
Okay.
overall organization.
Okay, that's interesting. Got me something to think about there. Rebates aren't the only issue that creates some controversy around cards. There's been a slowly increasing number of suppliers who are charging a surcharge when someone pays with a card. Lynn recently joined us to discuss this highly divisive topic. You can watch it right now using the link that will appear momentarily on your YouTube screen and is in the show notes below. As always, we appreciate your thumbs up as they help us grow.